Funding for Decibel is provided by Texas Mutual Insurance.
Be open-minded about hiring people who may be homeless.
Kindness goes a long way, and I think that's what most of the people in the homeless environment are lacking in their life.
Humans need love, they need family, they need community, and let's get up underneath this and make it happen.
Good evening, I'm Judy Maggio. Austin's at a tipping point, tackling the city's growing homeless problem. Tonight on Decibel, real solutions to get people off the streets and into housing and services, the fallout from revised rules on public camping, and steps planned to manage our homeless situation to avoid becoming another Seattle or Los Angeles. We begin with what's happening on the homeless front and where we're headed.
I am tired of wasting taxpayer dollars not addressing the situation and just moving people around who are trying to comply, but living in a city where it is impossible to be able to comply because we have failed to provide the answer, where is it that you should go?
I live off the kindness of strangers. If it weren't for the kindness of strangers, I'd been dead a long time ago.
Shannon is just one of the more than 2,200 people experiencing homelessness in Austin. That's lower than the national average, but 5% higher than the year before.
Those opposed, it's unanimous on the dais.
In June, the mayor and council took a bold step. They lifted the ban on most public camping and relaxed rules on panhandling, sitting, and lying in public. Advocates said that ban was ineffective and burdened the homeless with fines and criminal records that became barriers to housing and services. Shortly after the change, the backlash began.
There's always been some element of homelessness going on Congress Avenue. Then when the ordinance changed, it was like the floodgate opened.
Craig Staley has run Royal Blue Grocery on Congress for close to a decade.
You can't take a street like Congress or 6th and expect it to be everything to everybody. You can't be a place to house your homeless and a place that's safe and clean for tourists and a place for businesses to thrive and a place for patios. It can't all happen in the same place.
Staley says the lax laws have tied the hands of police and increased petty crimes. Complaints from Staley and other downtown business owners have even reached the national media. The day we visited, the Washington Post was taking pictures for a story. Staley says his heart goes out to homeless folks like Shannon, who hangs out in front of his store, but he thinks the council acted too quickly.
And that's where I think the council and our mayor rushed into this to do the right thing, to prevent any sort of constitutionality argument being had, but they didn't consider the unintended consequences. They didn't consider, well, we're going to change these rules, but we need some other rules around them to maintain order.
Balancing the needs of neighbors and businesses while helping the homeless is a complex, costly issue. The city manager has proposed a $17 million increase in spending on homelessness in next year's budget. The mayor now says he's open to more restrictions on where camping is allowed in the city, but he maintains the broad ban on public camping was only treating the symptoms of homelessness and not the cause.
We can no longer satisfy ourselves with a process of ordinances that just move the problem from here to there, because it is a false sense of security. And before we wake up, we too are going to have 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 people. It is time for us to act now.
There are lasting local success stories about people who were once chronically homeless. You'll find hundreds of them at Community First Village. Blair Waltman-Alexan shares Jerome's journey.
This is Jerome, and this is Jerome's first day in his new home at Community First Village. Amen. We filmed this more than 2 years ago, but as we started working on new stories about homelessness, we kept thinking about this older one. What happened to Jerome?
This is one of my favorites that I did. You look at a unicorn and you feel good, you know.
Community First Village has a retention rate of roughly 85%, and Jerome is one of those success stories.
I do some wood burning, so I'm learning that skill, and actually when I was working for the theater, I had some input into that. It's everything coming together, and that's what this place gives you a chance to do, is to bring things back together.
Jerome has lingering health issues that require access to medical care and exercise. Two things he can easily access here. Another thing he can get here is mail, like these letters from families who help fund his home.
I hope you treasure it. Everyone deserves a place to call home.
Mail and electric bills and hobbies. It feels downright domestic compared to the first time we met Jerome.
We're good to go, let's go.
It was 2017, during Austin's annual point-in-time count.
HUD requires that communities do a count of people inside and outside. So we have a sheltered count going on and an unsheltered count.
Thanks. Jerome wasn't in a shelter. He had a sleeping bag in a quiet spot in a wooded area. He'd been homeless in Austin since 2015.
Everything you do when you're homeless, everything takes a long time, and it's a big effort. I think you can see it out at Community First Village that these are really good people. If you feed them and you get them some the medical attention that they need, and take away the fear, and show that there's some caring out there, and give them an opportunity. You're going to find some of the most generous and loving people that.
Housing will never solve homelessness, but community will.
Community First Village is the brainchild of Alan Graham. The 27-acre community opened its doors in 2016, and this place provides much more than housing to the chronically homeless. There are support services and work programs, and most crucially, a sense of community.
I'm just hoping that we get off this insidious train of not recognizing why this is happening, and start recognizing that humans need love, they need family, they need community, and let's get up underneath this and make it happen.
Jerome's life has transformed in 2 years, and so has Community First. It's expanding the size of the neighborhood by 24 acres and adding 300 more housing units, more gardens, and a wellness center.
Hey, all right, I'm 65 now, but going strong.
Jerome isn't surprised by the expansion. After all, who wouldn't want to live here?
For me, it's a divine blessing. There's so many great people here. You know, you're going to want to come live here. You're going to...
I know. You've probably never heard of the hidden homeless. These are people you rarely see on the streets, but a crisis has forced them to couch surf or live in their car. For one young mother and her 2 toddlers, that crisis was escaping an abusive relationship. Fortunately, she found a place and a program in Austin, leading her to a brighter future.
That's good. Make sure everybody gets a turn. This is my mommy. These little faces that were like looking up at me and like needing me every day, I just knew I had to get my hustle on and do everything and anything that I could to rise above that circumstance.
It's story time at the Jeremiah program. Preschoolers Toki and Honyu are happily listening and learning, while their mom, Alyssa, takes classes of her own at Texas State University to become a high school science teacher. For Alyssa, landing here was a lifesaver.
My relationship escalated to physical aggression, and I had to reach out to a women's shelter in order to have a safe place to be for me and my kids. And so at that point, I felt like I was at my personal rock bottom, and I was just desperate to get us up. And I knew I had to take like full ownership of like my life and try to figure out how we were gonna make it and like be successful.
The mission of Jeremiah program is to end the cycle of poverty for single moms and their children 2 generations at a time.
The Jeremiah program is a national nonprofit. It works by wrapping women and their children with the resources and tools they need to turn their lives around.
We allow these hardworking moms to be able to focus on school and parenting by providing the safe and affordable housing, high quality early childhood education. We do life skills and empowerment training. We also support them while they're getting their degree or their certificate program, all within a supportive community.
I was very concerned about the well-being of my children, and I didn't want to leave them if I didn't know that they were going to be safe. And so here, we actually have a safe environment, and I know that they're doing well, and that allows me to put those stresses and those worries away so I can actually focus on taking care of myself and taking care of the things that I need to help our family be better.
Unlike some other housing and support services for people in crisis, this program provides all of the pieces to the puzzle.
I applied to, the housing programs, food benefits, medical benefits, and child care services through the government programs that they do have in place to help people, but each of those pieces only serves to fix one of those pieces, whereas the Jeremiah program is a whole encompassing program. It is like a hub to bring all of those pieces together.
That hub of services and knowing her children are thriving in a safe, loving environment gives Alyssa the confidence and support she needs to succeed.
It's their hard work and energy that gets them through. You're so much more successful if you actually have the self-determination to make it happen.
Austin has the fastest growing population of older adults in the entire country. That also means a rising number of people facing their golden years in poverty or no place to call home. Luckily, one of them crossed paths with Family Elder Care.
I really didn't think too much about me reaching the age I am. I didn't think about retirement too much. I just lived. As long as I was working, I had a roof over my head, a little food in the icebox, and the people around me was happy, then I was satisfied in life. I got crippled almost overnight, just boom, it was there, When you're really, really down and you feel that you rock bottom, there's always some little something that'll jump up to cheer you up.
I think we have kind of this stereotypical idea of what a homeless individual is. And I think with the seniors, we're able to see, hey, this is really a population that has worked. These are veterans, these are teachers, these are nurses, these are, individuals that were married, have families, have children, and somewhere along the way, there was a bump in the road, and they totally lost that ability to connect to the rest of the world, to have supports. And this is the result of that. I think it's educating the community about how individuals become homeless and who that population really is super important. His name is Terry Markland. He was a homeless referral that I received from the Arch.
I was on my way back to Tennessee from California. I was at California, I lost my mom, I lost my dad, I lost my wife, I lost my girlfriend, I lost my brothers. They all passed away on me. I had terrific pain on my knees. So I stopped at the doctor's and they gave me a pass to go down to this Arch place downtown, a homeless shelter. Well, about 2 days later, I was out on the street and I was in an old raggedy wheelchair. And I was sitting out on the street and this wonderful lady that works for elderly care, her name's Miss Sam Campbell. She come out there on the street and got me, and started talking to me. And then she took me across town and she put me in a community home. Then she helped me get my ID back together. She helped me get more money on my Social Security check, helped me get a housing voucher. And she did all that within like 6 or 7 months. And then she moved me out here.
He was just so out of touch with any resource. He didn't know that all those things were available to him. And that's kind of where we come in as the advocate, as the voice for people that they might not know or they might not be able to access the services independently. You know, we've seen people that have gone from homeless to housed, and within a 6-month period of time, they just look like a different person. Their attitude is different, their personality is different. They are no longer dealing with the deep depression that they had before.
And I never did think I'd be down and out like I got down and out. And I guess that's the main thing. But I know this, if I had stayed out on the street like I was, I probably wouldn't have been here, you know, because I was pretty well stressed out and in pain and stuff, you know, and I just kind of got lifted up, you know, by a certain little lady, you know, a certain little organization, you know, just kind of lift me up.
Here's a look inside 2 of the new state-of-the-art facilities opening to serve the homeless in Austin. Construction crews are putting the finishing touches on the Terrace Oaks apartments in East Austin. 50 chronically homeless people will move in this fall. They'll not only have a safe place to live, but mental and physical support services and clinics, all under one roof.
What is unique about this apartment community is that we will have 24-hour supervision and wraparound supports. And they are not mandated. They are here to be offered to our residents. And we also will provide a clinic, an integrated care clinic.
The Rathgaber Center is also opening its doors in East Austin this fall. The shelter looks and feels like a giant home. Among those who'll find transitional housing here are moms, dads, and children currently living at the Salvation Army Center downtown. This center features private rooms and other amenities to help families get back on their feet.
When you see a mother or a father kind of on the brink of homelessness, they'll do everything in their power to not get into shelter because they don't want to be considered homeless. They're what we call the hidden homeless, even if they're staying on the couches of friends and family or in a storage unit. So that's why it's a little bit more difficult trying to reach them, trying to find who those families are. Hopefully with the Rathgaber Center, that will be addressing the issue of more families saying there's help, and the Salvation Army is here to help them.
City leaders are planning homeless shelters in each of the 10 council districts, but the South Austin building, bought to house the first one, has riled up neighbors who say they've been left out of the decision-making. Council members have assured them this won't be a drop-in site like the Arch, and no camping or sitting outside will be allowed. Social service agencies must refer people to live in these district shelters, and they'll only provide temporary housing while more permanent homes are found. While stable housing is often the first step to self-sufficiency, one local group is taking a different approach. Since 2018, the Other Ones Foundation has been hiring homeless people for day labor, cleaning up Austin's green belts. These work crews walk away with much more than a paycheck. They leave with a newfound sense of community.
I'm kind of the poster child. I started like in, let's say, the 1st of April. But they pay us nice, treat us nice. They only hire the homeless. We're all just here to work, and it's a great thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, take them. Do you need some, We started the Other Ones Foundation in 2017. Workforce First is a supportive employment program that offers our homeless neighbors the opportunity to work as an alternative to panhandling. We're giving the city a work product, and the work that these guys are doing, it's in service of the community. Since March of 2019, we have pulled 85,000 pounds of trash out of green spaces in Austin.
On Mondays, we usually do like a work with watershed protection, so we go and get rid of the invasive weeds. And then on Wednesdays, we typically clean up homeless encampments. Well, you want to throw it in here? If you wouldn't just throw stuff out here in the middle that is garbage, we'll haul it off. Today's like free garbage day. It's not like we chase them off or anything. It's just like whatever you don't want, we're gonna take it away.
Guess you're gonna want some dough.
Okay. I'm in.
At the end of the day, everybody gets paid. They get a chance usually to stop in and check in with their case manager. But then some people want to come here and hang out, watch TV, like watch a movie, take a shower, maybe like go sleep for a while.
If one day a week you can come up and you can get $75 That may be your hygiene. If you're homeless and you're camping, that might be your food. You learn how to live. But that one day a week, you can go and have some fun, doing some cleanup work, out in the wilderness. That's fun. That's fun. The key is keeping it clean, keeping it to where, when it rains, it's not going to flush all your junk down into the water table. And many times we actually put the people to work who are living there at the camp.
So that's a good way to kind of like break the ice with people.
Yep, starting another bag.
You met Dave, he's a great example.
They found me in a park. They just came walking up. Does anybody here want to work? I'm like, I'm in.
That guy hadn't ever engaged in any kind of homeless services. He's working for us 3 days a week. He's got a bank account, which may not sound like much to you and I, but it's a big deal. If you think about work in the same way that you think about housing, or we're offering is more of an emergency shelter type of job than it would be like a stable home. And obviously our goal is to get everyone, to get everyone to the point where they can access a stable home and a stable income.
They call like transitioning out of the program, so it frees up a space for somebody else, so they can bring another homeless person in and get them back on their feet.
It wasn't just about money. It was about, get to go out and do some cleanup stuff, some stuff that really needed to be done. It's just something that I'm proud to be a part of.
If the best way that we can support someone is to navigate them through all the systems they need to get through in order to access the social safety net, that's what we'll do for them. And if we can support them by giving them a little bit of work here and a little bit of work there to the best of their ability, we'll do that as well. But at the end of the day, the meat and potatoes of this thing is community, support, love, fellowship. The change that we see in people when they go from being isolated and living on the streets to being engaged in a community is so profound.
Finally tonight, it's hard to know how to help the homeless. Should you give them money or food or nothing at all? We turn to Amy Price at Front Steps to find out.
Bring the facts. APD has great data. The Texas Network for the Homeless has great data. The City of Austin has great data. Go beyond the headlines and the fear-mongering and get the facts out there so that as we're trying new programs, it's a little bit calmer setting. People are not invisible. If you treat people like they're invisible, you start to feel less human. And I think that disconnect from being socialized is a massive liability for anybody, anywhere. So say hello, smile and nod. And I almost always hear, thank you for acknowledging me. If you're handing out food, give them the option of accepting it or not. A lot of people who've been experiencing chronic homelessness, dental care isn't happening. And poor dental hygiene makes something as simple and wholesome as an apple really impossible. They're not trying to be rude, they simply can't bite into an apple. If you'd like to know what's a good thing to hand out, we always recommend freezing bottles of water. This is one of the most sought after things for people living on the streets. There are very few public water fountains and it's hot out there. And people with pets appreciate it too. Something like this is a godsend. We see this happen a lot. Folks will come down here and pull out 2 great big garbage bags full of sandwiches they've made, each one in a baggie. I'm glad you made sandwiches. This is going to be litter. Trash pickup is minimal in most of the places where folks are living on the street. If you took the same sandwich and wrapped it in a paper towel, it's not going to be in the environment for the next 100 years. Remove packaging from things you give out. A lot of groups and organizations, even families, take the time to put together care packages. We're actually always mindful that our carbon footprint doesn't disappear even when we're dealing with a humanitarian crisis like people living on the streets. My advice, call where you want to hand them out, find out what's the best thing to put in it, be mindful of the litter, ACEs. Bags are a premium. A lot of people wind up with all sorts of bags at home that they never get to using. These are a much better choice to share if you're handing things out to folks who are living on the streets than a plastic bag like this. Safety first. Safety is always an issue, whether it's yours when you're out in public or the people that you might see experiencing homelessness under an overpass or on the streets. If at any time you see something dangerous or criminal, call for help. If at any time you feel threatened or at risk, call for help. But it might be worth taking a moment sometimes and recognizing that you may be feeling discomfort. It might not be a reason to call 911 or 311. It might be a reason to get involved in the issue of homelessness and what you can do to make a difference.
We hope tonight's episode of Decibel has shed some light on Austin's homeless situation. As always, we welcome your comments and ideas and invite you to follow us on social media and YouTube. Thanks for sharing part of your evening with us. Good night.
Funding for Decibel is provided by Texas Mutual Insurance.